Here's former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg explaining how he acquired his 2 children. Watch.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Surrogacy Experts React. My name is Jess, and I'm here today to watch an episode on YouTube from Matt Walsh, and it is titled Pete Buttigieg's Disturbing Adoption Story Exposed: The Truth About Surrogacy. So let's see what Matt Walsh's truth about surrogacy is. Before we dive in, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the notification bell. All right, let's watch.
Nobody has a right to parenthood. Children are not objects that you have the right to possess. There are a lot of theories for why of the top 20 or so political podcasts, the overwhelming majority of them are conservative leaning. The same is true of opinion programming and primetime cable news. The most successful ones are all on the right. But if you think about it, it's not difficult to understand what's going on here. As a practical matter, most commentators and politicians on the left are extremely difficult to listen to. And that's not because they lack speaking talent or charisma, although a lot of them do. And it's not because they lack resources or funding. That's certainly not the case. Instead, it's because their ideology, more often than not, does not withstand a significant amount of scrutiny. Spend 10 minutes listening to these people and you'll hear all kinds of nonsense and contradictions. It's unbearable to the point that you just want to turn it off, and many people do. So to give just one example, if you can stomach it, here's former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg explaining how he acquired his 2 children. Watch.
So we were in what's called a surprise adoption scenario. So we I was at work, I was traveling, we got a phone call, Chaston called me, and the next day we were in a rural Midwestern hospital holding him in our arms, and they were like 1 day old. Wow. Like it was like that. Like just from like normal life to and by the way, it's twins. Which was amazing.
You didn't know it was twins
before. We were just on a list. Wow. We said that we were willing to adopt, or we wanted to adopt. We said that we wanted to adopt without regard for race. By the way, anybody who says race is not a thing in this country should experience an adoption process where there are literally different lists. If you say that you want a white kid only versus if you say that doesn't matter. Wow. Like literally a different list.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
The list for white kid only is longer. And not only that, there was actually a discount, or you didn't have to pay a deposit on the fee.
Discount.
This is like how it works. Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I do agree that is sad that there is a different level of qualification, that there is a quote unquote discount for parents who are willing to, or for people who want to be parents who welcome any child regardless of their ethnic heritage, background, whatever, into their lives, into their home. I think that's wonderful, and I don't think that that's something that should be looked down upon. I think if you want to adopt, then that's a wonderful thing. Also, if you don't agree with surrogacy, but you don't agree with adoption because that's purchasing babies, is that only for gay men? If a white Christian couple adopts a baby, is that a good thing? Let's see what he says.
As you can tell, everybody on the set appears to be disturbed about the fact that, according to Pete Buttigieg, it's cheaper to acquire a black child than a child of another race.
The spin on that, right? They're saying that he wanted to, I can't even say it, like purchase a black baby because it's cheaper. No, he's pointing out how that there's all these inequalities, and people say that they're not racist, but they're only willing to adopt children of a certain background, and like that in itself is wrong. I do believe, if you are building your family, yes, you can, should you have a say in what your family makeup looks like? Yes. But does that also expose potentially some truth about you if you are willing to adopt one child because of their skin color and not adopt another child because of their skin color? That is your choice. Absolutely. I will not take that choice away from you, but like that is a choice. And what that's, that does say potentially something about you. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But the spin on that, it's wow. And he says it with such conviction. That's like, like my heart rate up.
This is supposed to be taken as proof of the fact that America is fundamentally racist or something. And thankfully, Pete Buttigieg is not a racist, so he boldly accepted the discount that he received on his 2 mixed-race kids. The implication is that in a true post-racial utopia, nothing like this would happen because black children would cost precisely the same amount as white children. But
okay. Sorry, I had to stop and take a deep breath because the mental somersaults that Matt Walsh is doing to talk about how people are buying children through adoption, and that, Pete Buttigieg with his kids got a discount because they were mixed race. I mean, okay. I'm going to try and keep watching, but I'm going to have to take a deep breath. Sorry, guys.
So unsettling, of course, has nothing to do with race. It's unsettling because a middle-aged gay man is talking about how he flew in from out of state to purchase children that he has nothing in common with so that he can raise them in a motherless home. And
right. Deep breaths. Pete Buttigieg and his husband welcomed in children who we don't know the story of their birth parents. We don't know why they were placed up for adoption. Pete Buttigieg and his husband opened their hearts and home to these kids and became their dads and are giving them love and stability and, adoption is hard, right? Adoption is not an easy choice for parents or for kids. There's a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of challenges, for kids who have been adopted. I'm not adopted, but my friends growing up who were adopted, they have in turn decided to adopt their own children as adults. And, I know just from talking to them and from some of their stories that, yeah, it is. It can be challenging. But also in some ways, we don't know what these children's alternative was, right? What would their life have been like? And again, I would just say, for this guy, Matt Walsh, it's very clear that this is just homophobic. If Pete had been married to a woman, would he have been ranting and raving about this? Maybe because their kids are mixed race, he still would have been. I don't know. But think about all of the wonderful kids who have been raised by 2 dads, by 2 moms, by 1 dad, by 1 mom, by a mom and dad, by grandparents, by aunts and uncles. I'm a firm believer in that it's love that makes a family, and love and stability, as much as stability as parents can provide, knowing that life throws that at them. But there are some, I have seen absolutely amazing parents out there who are with somebody of the same sex, who are single, who are married to people of different, or with somebody of the different sex. And likewise, I have seen terrible parents out there who are married to somebody of a different sex, who are same sex, who are single parents. I'm a firm believer it has absolutely nothing to do with your gender, and has everything to do with who you are as a person. So I just
use them as props for his political career. In other words, the real outrage is not that Mayor Pete got a discount for purchasing mixed-race children. The outrage is that he was able to do it in the first place.
What? That he was able to adopt kids because he was a politician or because he was gay? Now, I do not follow Pete very closely on social media, but I'm pretty sure he and his husband are actually quite protective of their children, and do not parade them as political pros. Now, I might be wrong, but...
And you'd think that that would be an uncontroversial statement in post-Civil War America, but of course it's very controversial, even on the right. From the moment that the concept of gay parenthood first took off about a decade ago,
Gay parenthood took off a decade ago. I'm really sorry to break it to you, Matt. There's been gay people for longer than a decade.
social conservatives were met with derision for opposing the idea of men adopting children. But in the end, social conservatives have been proven to be 100% correct, as we have been about literally any other issue.
So how has he been proven correct? Because according to all the research that I've seen, scientific actual research that has been published in peer-reviewed studies, including longitudinal studies. So there was one, I think, published in 2022 or 2023 from Cambridge University, looking at children born through surrogacy, egg donation, and I believe they included adoption, and looking at their long-term outcome, including children of same-sex parents. You know what their long-term outcome was? Pretty darn great, as long as they had loving parents who were open about their origins and knew that they had been wanted. So that's just one that I know of. So I'm pretty sure that all of the actual research out there shows that gay parents can be pretty amazing. And whether or not they're amazing parents has very little to do with whether or not they're gay, and more to do with who they are as parents, which again doesn't really have anything to do with whose bed they're sharing.
You can name. We have been right about everything. This is one of them. Children who are raised by gay men ultimately face double the risk of depression in adulthood, along with much higher rates of anxiety and obesity, according to research by the sociology professor Paul Sullins. They're also at a significant risk of being
I don't know the sociology professor, but I would love to know his affiliations and where he's researched this and what his research parameters were, personally.
Actually abused, even though nobody wants to talk about that. Recently, a gay couple in Georgia were convicted and sentenced to 100 years in prison for the systematic rape of two young boys they adopted. Nobody at the adoption agency wanted to, or perhaps was legally allowed to, ask any serious questions about why two gay men are looking to adopt young boys. So,
now, I don't know about the story. If those young boys were abused, that is truly horrific. But that is why, and I will say this till the cows come home, people who are adopting, who are going through surrogacy, there are so many stringent requirements in place in terms of like psychological evaluations, in terms of social work assessments, everything like that. See, talking about all of the parents who gave birth, or not gave birth, but who, in his case, as a white man, fathered children and then abused them. Also a horrific situation. Nobody puts non-gay white men who are looking to become parents through psychological evaluations to make sure that they're going to be good parents before they, forgive my French, knock somebody up. Just like that leap that just because you are gay means that you are automatically going to abuse your children is, okay. I'm going to try and persevere on, but I don't know if I can.
The boys were sent to the home with no further questions and subjected to unimaginable torture as a result. Now, in an attempt to address these concerns, we were told that homosexuals should be allowed to adopt children because it's better for a child to have two dads than to be left to wallow in the foster care system indefinitely. That was the argument. And it wasn't really a defense of the idea that children should be raised by two men in an ideal world. Instead, we were...
I mean, that is actually, like, if I have to give him a point, I'll give him a point that two gay dads trump foster care is, like, yes, we do not want anybody left languishing in the system, but actually that shouldn't be a valid argument for why gay parents can be great parents, because they can be great parents.
We're told that the alternative was even more horrifying. To the extent that this argument was persuasive to anybody, it hinged on the idea that a critical mass of gay men are interested in raising children out of the goodness of their own hearts.
Okay, I think I was just going to say, just because somebody's gay doesn't mean they don't want to be a parent, and doesn't mean that they don't want to be a parent for all the normal reasons that a person might want to become a parent. And I think I'm going to have to leave it there because I'm going to get a bit apoplectic. And yeah, I don't really want to listen to him anymore. So I'm going to call it. So thank you for watching. If you have any further information about I think it was the sociologist that this guy referred to in the study, if you have any other studies that you want to share, I personally come from an academic background. I know academics and published papers and research can be really boring, but I think they're really important, particularly for stuff like this, to actually help dispel some of the misconceptions, to put it mildly, out there. So if you have any legitimate research that you want to share, we would love to see it. Again, please keep comments kind. This is a place for a open and kind discussion. But hopefully you maybe not enjoyed watching this video, but you found it interesting. If you did, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell. And yeah.